An emerging value cluster appears to be occurring in the U.S., that of leisure, self-fulfillment, physical fitness, and youthfulness. At the same time, the value of environmental concern is also emerging. You could think about how the value of environmental concern might be linked to, or could be somewhat related to, the other value clusters at the top of the page. It's important to understand that values don't just happen on their own. They're a response to fundamental changes in society. The Protestant work ethic was a response to the need to work hard just to sustain oneself and one's family. But technology has freed our society from the need for hard work and has given, at least to some of us, the ability to enjoy our time and to keep ourselves in better shape. It's only when society allows for the production of a surplus that we have time to focus on leisure and self-improvement. What happens when values clash? Some people see it as a threat to their very way of life. Examples include gender fluidity as a threat to those that think there are two sexes and only two sexes, and that everyone should conform to their assigned sex at birth, or that marriage can only be seen between a man and a woman. Anything other than traditional roles is a threat to the status quo and the way in which the world has been traditionally defined. The term culture war refers to the clash in values between traditionalists and those advocating change, a term that's highly exaggerated but nonetheless allows us to understand the conflict and clash between different sets of values. We've already talked about the term ethnocentrism. This idea that we don't question the culture that shapes the way we think, so we assume that what we do or how we think about the world is the right way to be. Our values that we often don't examine or think about can serve as blinders. We think that because life is generally that way, then it ought to be that way. Why did we destroy the trees that are located only in one part of the world because the wood is prized, or the land momentarily appears to be valued for other uses? The redwoods in California are now considered a part of the heritage of the area, and the destruction of them is seen as a loss for our culture. Yet 80 years ago, they were not viewed that way because there was no alternative value to question the practice of cutting them down. Are there any true cultural universals? In other words, values, norms, or other cultural traits that can be found all around the world? What we know is there is no universal form of the family, no universal form of work, or of education, even of toilet training children. Now, sometimes incest is referred to as the universal taboo, but there's no agreement among societies of what incest is. Some groups allow men to marry their own daughters. Even though some activities are universal, like singing or storytelling or marrying, there's no universal way of doing them. Sociobiology stands in sharp contrast to the general belief that culture overrides most of human behavior. Sociobiologists believe that because of natural selection, biology is a basic cause of human behavior. Sociobiologists think that sociobiology can explain human actions such as competition or cooperation, and even things like envy or altruism, religion, genocide, and war and peace. But most sociologists disagree with this view and think it's actually rather absurd.